The line from Beckett that I think of the line, "To be an artist is to fail as no other dare fail." You're always going to be in an asymptote to failure. You're always trying to approach something almost ideally, but you'll never get there. It's never going to be an ideal scenario. There's no promise. There's no promise that anything awaits us at the end of art by doing this, or you're going to get somewhere at the end. The idea is that you still have the motivation or the force to keep going with the full intellectual awareness that it is not successful and that it will not succeed in the larger sense.
If you take a walk down here to the business school, there's a wall there with Beckett's quote. You won't find any of the costs of failure there.
I'll do my best.
Don't pull any. So non-redemptive failure is an approach to failure which doesn't try to turn it into success.
So it's an approach to failure across disciplines where we talk about it and try to sit with failure and think what happens in the moment of failure, as opposed to thinking teleologically, as opposed to thinking about what happens in the distant future.
One of the struggles we're all trying to work with is figuring out something that's more chronic, something that's more enduring, something that's more bumpy, and turbulent, but that doesn't always have to resolve itself into those normative infrastructures of success.
Yeah, redemption really is about narrative. It's not really redemption religiously. The attempts to create it, turn it into a narrative that's smooth are precisely redemptive, and that's what we're up against.
One of the things we're also looking at is that dominant narrative of failure to success is doing a lot of work in the world in all kinds of circles. We've talked about migration here, we talked about all kinds of things. And I think that story of overcoming is incredibly seductive for all of us. And I'm trying to unpick the ugly parts of that story, actually.
The actor that I think of first when you ask this, just in the room we're in now, is a wonderful actor named Rosemary Pountney. And Rosemary performed in this building in the Beckett studio up in the Players Theatre. And she was in her 80s when she performed Footfalls again. And what I found beautiful about this was she had, as a younger actor, worked with Beckett on the movement. And Johnny Herron and I did a workshop in which she was doing Rockabye and Footfalls and this work in this building. And watching someone whose body is resisting the kind of movement they know they want to make, but who becomes, after aging, less and less capable of doing exactly the same felicitous movement that they want to. And this moment has tremendous force in creating a sense both of the work, of the thing, but also of the actor's will, of this indomitable will to continue to work, to make, to speak, to voice, to pass on something of what it is to have been, even in a context where you have no certainty that it's going to continue, or rather, on the contrary, the certainty that it cannot continue.
We need a new vocabulary to talk about non-redemptive failure, and that's where we're really struggling. Kind of vocabularies are things about temporality, things about chronicity and ongoingness, and duration and endurance.
But that's a much harder ask, finding vocabulary that will work not just for us and not just for the disciplines that we represent, but also for people dealing with experiments with negative results and things like that. So that's something that we're, I think, learning while developing this network.